Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and hit that notification bell.
Welcome to another episode of Guyanese Swag. My name is McKay. I'm your host, and today we have with us the founder and creator of Gwan Move. It is a Caribbean fitness workout that you don't want to miss. And of course, we're talking about Gail Smith, or in other words, the Guyanese Fit Chick. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm really excited to have you, and I'm super, super blown away because I already know this conversation is going to be a really good one. Before we get started, the first question I ask everyone is, where were you born?
So I was born in England. So I was born in Watford, Hertfordshire. And if anybody in England knows, I would say I would be 45 minutes away from London.
Got it. So you were born in England, but talk to us about your Guyanese roots. How are you Guyanese? For lack of better words, how are you Guyanese?
Okay, so my dad is Guyanese. He's born in Henrietta, Essequibo Coast. And my mom is from Trinidad, and she's from Aruca.
Love it. So we got the Guyanese and the Trini blood fusing in there, right along with the English accent.
Nice.
So as a Guyanese, growing up, well, first generation English, born in England, being the first generation, and then now you're living in Canada. So talk to us about that whole transition and how did we go from England to Canada and that all that stuff.
Okay, so my parents met in England, and then they dated, and then they got married, and then they had me. And then so my dad wanted to go to America, and his visa was he was denied the visa, but Canada said, please come, and they sponsored him. So the company that was in Canada sponsored him to come to England, and he brought his whole family, and then we just stayed here from then on. But for me, I was like, I don't feel like I belong. I do, but I don't. I was kind of like very culture shocked and a lot of stuff growing up in school. And so I still was like, what's Guyana, what's Trinidad, what's it all about? So my parents would take me on holidays every other year. And then I just fell in love with our culture and the country. So I kept up going every 6 months after college and stuff, just dabbling whatever and having fun and then meeting up and yes, fetting and all my little shenanigans.
So now, growing up in Canada, you mentioned something that I want to dig a little bit deeper into, because I think that it's like we all go through it, but it's not vocalized enough. And that's the culture shock that happens. It's like, at home, I'm this Guyanese person, I'm this Trini person, I'm this whatever. And then at school, then I have to try to fit in and make sense here. Or at work, I have to try to fit in and make sense here. And it's like, sometimes it feels like we're in different hats in different places and spaces. And it's easy to either say, you know what, I'm just gonna change my voice and wipe away the accent and just try to fit in here so I don't have to try to explain where I was born or why I eat this for lunch instead of that. What was your experience with the whole being culture shock thing?
Honestly, I will tell you, I never really changed. Say, for lunch, if my parents packed a hardo bread to go for sandwiches and the other kid had the white bread sandwiches, I would never explain myself. And I would say this, literally, I would say, this is Caribbean bread. Certain things I just wouldn't change. And like the way that I spoke, so I did have an accent when I was in school, so for instance, if I'd say I would have to go home and take a tub bath, they would say, what's a tub bath? And I go, you don't know what a tub bath is? A tub bath, you're in a tub and you have a bath. Why would you do that for? And I'm like, because it's called a tub bath. I would joke around about it, right? And then, in my teenage years, I would come down to Brooklyn all the time every summer, right? And I felt like I belonged. And so when I come back, for September to go to school, I never really changed. The clothes that I had from there, I literally I'd buy extra and I'd sell it to the kids because they liked it. So I never really wiped out the culture as per se. I tried to get along with everybody, right? Which may be different. And it was a difficult time because I felt like I was never understood. Like no one looked like me, no one dressed like me, I'm saying different things, but there was other kids around, who kind of adapt like, okay, I like her style and stuff. So that's how I got through that.
And so now we've gone through the school age, and talk to us about the transition from being a student now to a career woman, the pathway that you chose for career.
So for my career, I was supposed to do music so I can sing. And I was trained to do all of that. I wanted to be a music teacher. And I was like, things aren't working out very well. Something's saying like, it's not your calling. So I went into fitness. And fitness is where my energy really stood out because as a youth, I was a gymnast. And so all the time at school, my mom always used to get calls. Gail has to go to the hospital. She sprained this, she sprained that, but I never broke a bone. And so the energy that I had, I went into fitness and I loved it because I wouldn't say necessarily entertain a crowd, but I like to motivate people and I like to put people in a positive environment. So I have the positive energy. And so they were kind of like, I'm contagious to them, Gail's teaching and so forth. So I went straight into fitness right around college time. And I just stuck with it. I didn't finish the music. I just stuck with it. I said, my mom's going to get mad. I said, you know what? But I'm doing what I like to do. And I loved it. And I just kept on pushing and pushing to be, I wanted to be, I don't know if you guys know her. Her name is Donna Richardson. So Donna Richardson is a Black fitness instructor who made it mainstream in a white industry. And I followed her. I followed everything that she did because she motivated me into when I first started fitness.
And so now coming full circle to we're in college and we decide, hey, this music thing is not for me, but I'm down with this fitness and I'm doing all these workouts. At what point did you decide to make it a business, and when did that transition happen?
It's always been a business. It's self-employed, right? So it's not like you're behind the front desk. The front desk people, they have a salary. Personal trainers really don't have a salary. It's by clients. So the fitness instructor, usually you only get paid to do the classes that you do. So how I made it, I've always been self-employed. I would teach literally from Sunday to Saturday, and I would just go hard teaching from like 7 o'clock classes until 6 o'clock in the evening. I had to get paid. I had to get paid, but I didn't have a name at that time. I was just all over, it's like all over the map. And then I would say probably around 2015 or so is when I was like, you know what, get your brand, get your name, and let's get this started.
And so talk to us about the journey of branding it out as Guyanese Fit Chick and saying, you know what, I could go in all these different directions, but this is the direction I want to stick with. This is the type of music I want to play. This is where I feel I get the most energy, but then also I can give the most to my clients.
Okay, so Guyanese Fit Chick was named and branded in 2016. And then basically from there, I was like, I need to, what I wanted to do was really promote around to the Caribbean community that, what, I'm here as your motivator, right? And I would like, I want to see you, like people are complaining, oh, I'm overweight, I can't do this, I can't do that. I go, but if you come to my classes, oh, no, they're too high energy. And I'm like, no, that's just a promo video. Like, no, I have classes for everybody. Right. And so I just developed that. So it was for everybody. At first, I started off as women, and it was like, Gail, you've been down this road. And I said, I think if you have like a mix of everybody would kind of understand that this is a movement for Caribbean people just to move. I don't want to expect anybody to be like, people want to look, oh my gosh, it looks like a bodybuilder or a bikini ready. It's nothing about bikini ready or body ready. It's just about just moving to the soca beat. And I pick soca because soca is such a high energy, by the bass and the drum alone, everybody, you're sitting in a chair and you're still moving.
Here in the Western world, I almost said America, but then I'm like, no, I need to say Western because it's really the Western world. The diet is so different. And the diet contributes to a lot of unhealthy body weight, and even mindset, like tired and depression and anxiety and all these different things that come with the food that's heavily promoted in the Western culture. And as Caribbean people, when we come here, there's certain things that we pick up about the lifestyle. There's certain things that we pick up with the diet. How then do you, because I'm imagining that a part of fitness is also the diet of it. So then how are you with your clients who come to you? They're like, well, I feel like I can't do this because my body isn't this way, or I can't move because I have this much weight. How much of that do you talk to them about diet, and how are you keeping that balance of motivation, workout, and diet?
So diet is always the hardest thing to speak to your clients. They think that I'm going to change everything. They think that I'm going to put in things that they don't like. So when I would run my boot camps, I would actually do a diet change. I would modify their diet. At one time I was like, okay, you need to eat this, this, and this. And I'm like, Gail, but you don't eat that, that, and that. So how do you think not everybody likes coconut water, right? Not everybody likes oatmeal or stool oats. Not everybody likes broccoli. So basically what I had to say is like, look, there are certain vegetables, right, that I feel, right, that could give you the vitamins that you need or the minerals that you need. And then moving forward, I would say, look, here's the research that I've done, right? Give them a bunch of like 5 or 6 selections, right? Oh, I could eat like green beans, or I could eat almonds, or I could eat it like this. And I'm like, yeah, that's all it is. So basically I'm trying to focus them on just different selections of food, of when to eat it, how to eat it. Some people fast, right? But they're fasting, I wouldn't say incorrectly, they just don't know how to do it at what time. Some people don't drink water, right, when they're fasting, which sometimes that's mostly religious, right? But I said, you know what, if you fast at this time, this is the benefit of fasting. This is the benefit of drinking water. This is the benefit of having this amount of fruit. This is the disadvantage of having this much sugar in your diet, right? And because I'm a nurse, I'm like, okay, look, if you're going to have to consume that much sugar, sometimes it's not your blood sugar is affecting, but other things, like you can get gout in your toe. I can get gout in my toe with too much sugar. I'm like, yes. And then I go in and explain it. But at first, I don't really go too heavy on modifying people's diet. I focus on them really getting to move. And then they're like, well, I'm not losing any weight. I go, well, then let's speak about your water intake. Are you sweating? Let's speak about how many times you go to the washroom. Let's speak about how many times you have a bowel movement. And then I'm like, then I think you've been constipated for quite some time. So if you have a bowel movement, you might lose a couple pounds.
Wow. Okay. I kind of just jumped in there and started asking you questions. So let's back up for a second. Talk to us about Guyanese Fit Chick. What is that for people who are watching this video, listening to this audio, and they've never heard of you? They don't know about what you're doing. Break it down for them. What is Guyanese Fit Chick? What is Gwan Move? Explain all of it.
Okay, so Guyanese Fit Chick is a veteran in the fitness industry. It's a combination. So Guyanese Fit Chick is a combination of all kind of styles. I teach everything from step to boot camp to spin. And so basically what I wanted to do is I just wanted to create a platform just of anybody following the Caribbean fitness community on a person who is very knowledgeable and teaching all kind of styles. Gwan Move was really created, really pushed, really, I would say 2022. It was called Just Move in 2020, and then I had to make a name change, but it was the same concept. So Gwan Move, basically, I changed it into the hottest soca fitness party in the Waterloo region in Canada. So basically, we use different formats. So spice and tone is usually you use a rag, and the rag basically it specifies the excitement of the music, nice range of motion when you're doing your exercises, and then we'll go into Gwan box. So it's basically just cardio box, shadow boxing to soca music. So we use soca music, a little bit of Afro beats, and then we have a cool down. Sometimes you might go on the mat, do some abdominals, but most times in a pop-up class, it's just spice and tone, Gwan Move, and do a stretch. And then literally, it's a 60-minute class, but everybody's exhausted in 40 minutes. So like you're fetting, like you're fetting in a carnival fete. So you have the fete as your party, and then you have the fitness where you concentrate on basically it's a total body workout, upper body, abdominals, and legs combined together.
So for the people who are watching this and they're like, I want to get involved, but I feel, and you kind of talked about this earlier, but I feel like I can't get involved because it's too high energy, or I can't get involved because I don't have the right body shape, or whatever excuse they're giving themselves right now. What would you say to that person?
This workout basically really is all level workout and all ages workout. I just sometimes find that when people go to an instructor's class, they look at the instructor and the instructor is so hyped. But you have to remember the instructor is the leader. The instructor is the one who motivates you even just to get you there, right? So at the beginning, I do explain all the movements, all the terminology, all the format and stuff. And then we go into a warm up. I do have ladies that I'm sure this lady was probably in her late 60s. The youngest one I had was a child, but that was in an event, right? Children like to bounce up and stuff. But at the beginning, we do show level 1, level 2, and level 3 of the format and what we're teaching you. And then it's up to you what you would like. If you like to follow me, usually I have an assistant beside me, right? She can break it down sometimes. And then there's other people in the class. I say, first of all, you don't have to do a jump and jack. We start off with a march. You start off with a step touch. It's up to you if you want to move your leg from side to side, right? So pick your levels. So that's what I'd say for people who might see the promo and say, wow. But those ladies told me that they couldn't do a jumping jack, but they did it. So that is the mission of Gwan Move, is to Gwan move, like move your body. And then I'll tell them it's a can't stop, won't stop vibration.
I love it. I love it. On that note, we're going to take a quick break for a message from today's sponsor, and we will be right back.
Meet Jenny. While strolling through her Instagram feed trying to find something to do this weekend, she saw a post from Guyanese Swag advertising a concert happening in her local area this weekend. Excited, she clicked on the link, which redirected her to the comprehensive Guyanese Swag Business Directory. To her delight, Jenny discovered a variety of upcoming Guyanese events taking place in her city. What is really cool about it is the directory gives her all the details she needs. She gets to see business profiles with pictures, videos, and even special offers. Plus, she can easily find contact information and read reviews from people who have attended previous events hosted by the same promoter. Now, Jenny visits GuyaneseSwag.net on a weekly basis. It is her go-to website for finding things to do on the weekend. If you are an event planner or promoter and want to reach a ton of people in the Guyanese community, visit GuyaneseSwag.net. We've got a huge membership base across the diaspora, and it's the perfect platform to get the word out. So why not give your event the exposure it deserves? Just visit GuyaneseSwag.net. It takes less than 5 minutes to list your event.
Hello and welcome back. For those of you who are just joining us, we're here today with Gail Smith, or in other words, the Guyanese Fit Chick. She was just getting into some of the really good stuff. As you guys know, the second half is, all of it is good, but the second half, we get a lot of the juicy stuff. So for those who are watching and they're like in this fitness space, let's move into the business aspect of it, because when it really comes down to it, there is a business side of it. For those who are watching and they're like, I want to get into fitness, I want to be an instructor, I want to, whether it's the fitness world or any sort of business as a whole, what are some practical steps that someone who is watching can say, hey, these are the steps I can take to start my business? It might not be fitness, but I have an idea, I want to do something. What advice would you give to that person?
So I'm coming from two aspects. I'm coming from having a career in the medical field and then doing the fitness. And when push comes to shove, I feel that if you're going to do a business thing, you have to like what you do. You have to love what you do, right? And another thing, second of all, don't think about the money, because the money always comes. The third one to me was connections. I found that working in my community was a push point in giving and pushing my business. And then I thought, even in a bigger scale, I thought about, okay, if I connect with my community, what countries can I connect with? Because it's not like everybody's doing the same thing, but we all have the same concept. And then just be different than anybody else. You really got to be different than anybody else. You got to think outside the box. That's my best advice for anybody starting a business.
I want to dig a little bit deeper into, well, actually all of what you just said, but we're going to go on stages. So let's start with the nurse aspect of your career, because you did mention that. So how did you get involved to nursing, and how do you feel that has equipped you to be the instructor that you are today?
Well, it's a funny joke, because I never wanted to be a nurse ever. My mom's a nurse, and I saw the ins and outs in it. And then I really didn't want to, but I worked in a hospital for 8 years cleaning the floor. And I was like, but there's got to be something better than this. And so when I went back to England, the first job I got was in a nursing home. And I went, oh my Lord. I said, Gail, so this is how you have to do it. Okay, if you don't take care of the person, if you treated somebody bad, it will definitely come back to you, right? Health-wise. So just treat the person nicely, right? And then I got the concept. I said, oh, now I have the concept now of taking care of somebody, right? But then, you need to take the course. So in taking the course, I said, you know what, Gail, take the course, because there'll be better opportunities that if you're a registered nurse, you're able to work in other places. And I didn't think about the money, because if you think about the money in nursing, sometimes your shift may not be enough that they're going to pay you. It's just how the day goes, right? And so then I thought about it. I said, okay, Gail, go to nursing school. You have children. So I think for me, that would be the best career for me at this time, right? Because I don't want anybody taking care of my kids. I can work a night shift and be home with my children. So those were two aspects why I got into nursing. And then the third one was, I loved it at the time, and it gave me so many opportunities that I never thought that I could go so far. I've worked in nursing homes. I was an occupational health for Toyota, pharmaceutical companies I did counseling as a nurse. I worked in a methadone clinic. So with people with drug addictions, I've helped people who had drug addictions, and now I'm in mental health, emerge, ICU. Yes. Surgery. Yes.
Yeah. So with such an in-depth career in the nursing industry and so many different varieties in that field, now being full-blown into the fitness world, how are these two worlds merging, and how has that career pathway equipped you to be the best instructor that you are today?
So when it comes to the combination of the two, I felt that me being a motivator was my prime thing that I wanted to do for my clients when they're working out. When it came to certain people had like a lot of injuries, work injuries, health problems, and they didn't know what to do. They would go to the doctor. The doctor wouldn't really help them very much. So as a nurse, I'm really kind of compassionate to the people that I train, right? I'm very accurate on how I'm training. For me, safety is a big importance in fitness, and also motivation. Sometimes it's key words that you speak to people. So some people, um, back in the days, instructors used to yell at you like, "Come on, like, don't you do good?" Or like use some bad statements to people, and people would be like, "Yeah, I like the yelling," but moving forward, there are certain words that you say to people, it triggers them, so that sometimes you never see them come back. So with mine, I really wanted to be compassionate to my clients. Um, Range of motion, form is really important for me. I've always stuck with that. They teach you that in school. They teach you that in nursing school. They teach you that in fitness courses. Form is everything, and I've stuck with form is everything because I want people to come back, and I want you to have results.
Being a mom, a business owner, and an international trainer where now you're traveling the world and you're teaching fitness classes. How are you managing all these different aspects of Gail and all these different aspects of your schedule?
Well, my kids are all different ages. Hallelujah. So I don't need a babysitter anymore, but my approach is different to each of them. So the time that I am home, so basically, because I work full time at the hospital, I have 5 days off. So in that 5 days, I usually give myself 24 hours recovery time from office shift. And then I'll go and say, okay, this needs to be done, or this kid here. And I work along with my friends and my husband, drops my kid to school, getting the lunch done. I have my mom and dad to help. So I have a bunch of support around me. But the 5 days helps me a lot because I'm able to travel. I can travel, like, say for 3-4 days, and if there's a pop-up class needs to be done, usually I ask people at least give me like 2 weeks, to organize an event, and then to recover, because after a shift, it's kind of like, ooh, my mind, I don't want to see no people. I don't want to see no people.
In the, in the world of, I'm sorry, I just love how you said that. I don't want to see no people, because I feel the same way when you love what you do, but it takes so much of you that you have to have time to recover. And if you don't, then you're the one that's like, I need a doctor. So
Yeah. And so I don't want to go down that route. I learned the hard way, because basically if you don't rest your body and you're going to go back to see, like, I go to the gym or I go teach a class, that's when the injuries start happening, right? So it's like, even if you're like training for like an event or bodybuilder event or whatever it can be, sleep is the most important for your body to rest, right? Your hormones go all over the place, and I'm trying to represent a community, and the community I'm representing is the Caribbean community, right? Which gets a lot of attention, through travel and stuff. But now we're on a different platform, and we're representing everything: health, finance, whatever, anything we're representing. So my representation of me is very important. So I do have to rest.
I want to dig into that aspect of the conversation a little bit more. On the note of mental health, because I find that that's not something that's vocalized enough in our community. And as Caribbean people, we have this cloak that we wear where it's like, I can do it all, and we go all the time. And we're very hardworking people. We're known for being hardworking people. But on the other side of that balance of, it's okay to go and to run and to do, but I also need time for me, and I need time to recover. how did you develop, or did you always have it, the ability to say, you know what, I can do this and it can make money if I do it, but I'm going to say no because I need to rest and my body I need me. So even though I can go over here and I can do this and I can make money, or I can go over here and do this, and it might be the thing that pushed my business or my career over the edge, I'm going to say no because I need a rest and my body needs to rest so that I can get to the next milestone.
I have in the past gone like crazy, and it wasn't good, right? I was just going. I need to get this done. I've been called in every direction, and sometimes I learned the hard way, because when I go to do an event or I go to do even a job or whatever, I'm not representing myself properly, right? And then I'll come up sick. So, sometimes at the end of the year, people are getting sick, and it took me a while to recover. And I'm not just going to run down to the doctor and say, you know what, like, I'm sick. They're going to say, okay, what would you like? And especially if they know that you're a nurse, they already think that you know how to take care of your own self because you take care of sick people. So when I did it, I had put my business in a risk where I am the only one doing this. I have no other person who could do it. And I wanted other people, but the problem is with me, and it's not me being picky. I I teach on such a high aspect. I have such a high aspect for myself. It's not 90% for me. It's like 200, like 150, 200 I give my energy to. So if I should hire somebody, I expect the same if you're looking at dollar value, right? So I would hire like someone with like, well, I'm not working for $20 a class. And I go, but you're not pushing enough for me for what I do, because you have to represent me. So I would take the blow. Sometimes I'd be like, girl, you can't walk. I sprain you can't walk. And I go, but I put on a show. No one would ever know I sprained an ankle, or I would be hoarse. I would have a hoarse voice. My microphone would break, and I couldn't speak for the next 2 days. No one would even know. So now I know, and it's not really even about age. It just comes down to the strength that God has given me. He's given me unbelievable strength to make it through what I've done. And so I listen to him and I listen to my body, because other than that, I would never have survived.
As an entrepreneur, many, especially now in the day and age of social media, and this is a question I've been asking all of my guests, in the age of social media, there's a lot of glamour shots. And entrepreneurship is at the forefront of those glamour shots, because people see like the business and what you're doing on social media, and they assume, one, that either it means that money is falling out the sky in your business, or two, that everything has always been perfect, not realizing that it's a process, it's a journey. And 90% of what's happening in that process is you as the business owner is becoming the person who can run the business, who can build the business, who can deal with so many different personality types and maintain your cool. Like, there's so much that go into God developing you as the person that can be equipped to manage the call. Yes. How do you, as the business owner, the entrepreneur, facilitate all of the changes and all the aspects of what goes into building the business when the money is not there, when the money is there, when the support system is there, when the support system is not there, all of the seasons that we go through as business owners?
So I would talk about when the support is not there. Usually sometimes when I have events, that's the most support that I need. With the camera, with the registration, with the sales and stuff. My one event, it flopped because I panicked, and I should have handled it a bit better. I didn't show that I was stressed. I just felt that the content that I needed to be released, there was a lot of mistakes that were made. And I felt that if I had planned it earlier, like weeks ahead, and I said, okay, look, please take this day off, it would have been okay. But I'm not hard on myself. because, you know, some events are not going to work out as well. And I just take it as a learning lesson. When there's no money, I do extra shifts. I literally do. I'm not saying I'm banking on nursing, but there's going to be a certain way that sometimes you're not going to sell my apparel, sometimes not going to sell, and sometimes I'm not going to have a full class, right? So that I have to, you know what, the money that I made from the last one, every penny that I save, I don't touch that money, right? There's been events that people have already paid me and I haven't even done the event yet. And I'm like, Gail, if push comes to shove and you're not able to do that event, what you're gonna do? So I scratch and I save every piece of money, right? And then again, I do extra shifts. But I don't do extra shifts enough to say, you know what, Gail, if someone calls you to do a pop-up class, would you be able to go? I kind of assess myself and I say, you know what, if I did a night shift tonight and then they asked me to teach a class in the morning, why am I doing it? I have to ask myself, why am I doing it? What content would I need to do that class? If it's like a spin class, okay, that's great content, right? If it's like a boot camp class and you're tired from your next shift, don't bother doing it because you go live. So you have to represent yourself quite well on a live, right? People don't want to just see it just like speaking, or sometimes it's the clients. The clients represent me, right? So I have to be in a good mood in order to speak to them properly and use the right keywords for them to be motivated and to spread the word.
You talked about saving in your business. I find for me, my background is in digital business development, and working in that space, I've worked with a lot of small business owners. And one of the things that immediately stuck out to me is the lack of discipline around money. Whereas if they make $10, then $30 goes out the door, or they not reinvested into the business. It's like, oh, I made money from this event, so this means I can spend. And it's like, no, you made money, so it means you need to reinvest so you can get an even bigger event. How did you develop that discipline to say, you know what? Yes, I'm making money, but I don't need to go spend all of it. I need to reinvest it into this vision. Where did that discipline come from, and how are you continuing to reinvest into becoming even more disciplined?
So I found that when I would do, how could I put this? When I would do an event, I had to look back and I say, okay, Gail, if you made this amount of money, especially if it's cash. So if I had cash, I would always tuck it away, right? Cash, if I put it in the bank, I know if I put it in the bank, that's when I know it would be spent. I would transfer from one to the other. So I would go to an event, I'm like, hold up a second, I'm missing some apparel here and I have to go into my inventory. I have to go back into my money. And I'm like, but I have to keep on going back into my money every event. And I'm like, but I'm not making any money if I keep on going back into my money to go put in an inventory because you're not selling. So I said, Gail, you need to profit in some way. It may not seem like a profit at first, right? But I just learned that I was spending too much on like little silly little things. Like even if you go to the dollar store and get like, say, stickers or something like that, and I buy a whole heap of them. Okay, so that's maybe about $6 or $7, depending on how much I get, right? I go to the event, I never even used it. I never even used it. I didn't use it to the first event. I didn't use it to the second event. I didn't use it to the third event. I go, so then why'd you buy it for? Right? And then I learned, I'm like, those are silly mistakes, right? That you could have put your money other places, right? And because I have staff, I have to pay them. So the cash money that I have that I've set aside from other events, I will use that money to pay the staff. So that's how I learned. I just learned that you're making silly mistakes and you're paying out too much. And it's not to say I want to be the winner. There's no like winning. I just want to see that I can get ahead slowly, especially when I'm reaching to other countries. That's when you want to keep all your dollars, right, and spend it wisely on where it needs to be spent.
Earlier you talked about faith, and I want to circle back to that. Being an entrepreneur, business owner, I find that faith is the thing that makes or break you, because everything you're doing as a business owner requires faith. Whether it's saying, you know what, I'm going from Canada to Brooklyn to do this event, just the whole process of it all, and things that on any other day would be otherwise perfect. For some reason, when you're in that phase, it's like everything that can go wrong sometimes feel like they're going wrong. How do you manage your personal belief, your faith system, and the entrepreneurship of all of it?
I honestly, I'm saying it with all my heart. If it wasn't for God talking to me, when he speaks, I make the move. People may not kind of understand that. People are like, well, if he's not talking to me and I don't hear him, you don't necessarily hear like a little voice. Sometimes people might call you. Some people might make a post. Usually when I travel, I'm always in prayer, but in travel, I know so many things can happen because it's not my country. So when it's not my country, I'm really like quiet. I'm very observant. And I just go, you know what, Gil, it's a leap of faith that you're here. The vision was given to you. Now, the same thing that you did in your local town, you need to do it. You need to do over here, and then make yourself known. But don't make yourself known like silly. Professionalism is in every career, and it goes a long way when you are a professional.
Bringing the conversation full circle, I'm going to end with that question around professionalism. Being in the fitness industry, having some, like starting out with, I want to go down the pathway of music, then into nursing, and then fitness, and all those different career pathways that you've had the opportunity to expose yourself into, especially in the music and the fitness. I find that those two are the two that sometimes people look at like, you can't build a business out of this. This isn't a quote unquote real job. My husband is a music teacher, and it's heartbreaking to me how many parents will even say like, oh, my kid is really good at playing this instrument. Oh, but I will never encourage him to make a career out of it, because what is he going to be, the next Michael Jackson? Like, no, that's not an option. So he needs to go study to be a lawyer or something like that. And it's like, they don't see it as a business or any way to be professional in that industry. So for you as somebody who is in the fitness world, how did you get away from that stigma? And two, how are you building your business to say, there's a lot of people out here, quote unquote, doing fitness, but I'm a real professional?
There's so many people have talked me out for what I was doing. And then I said to myself, okay, Gail, I've had so many jobs, I've had so many hats, but I've never been happy, right? The money has always been there, and the money comes and the money goes, but I'm not happy. So if you're not happy in what you're doing, when I wasn't happy, like say working at a particular place, I did occupational health. As a nurse, you have people coming in sick, they're telling you X, Y, and Z. And I thought about it, and I'm looking at myself and I'm like, I am so in the wrong place. Everything looks nice. You have your nice clothes, you have your nice office, the money's flowing every 2 weeks. I'm able to do this and that, but I'm not happy. And because I'm not happy, I'm not going to do the job properly. Right. So I said to myself, I quit nursing literally for probably about 2 years. Money wasn't flowing, and money wasn't flowing at all. And I had a overhead, so I had to pay the landlord. I said, but guess what? I'm going to make it happen. If I have to crawl on my knees, if I have to do this, do that, if I have to paint the place by myself, I'm going to do it. And I was destined to say, that is exactly what I'm going to do. And I never gave up. I never gave up. You know, nursing is there because I worked hard to get my license. right? You work hard to get your license, but the license can be easily taken away, right? So I felt, you know what? Yes, it is there, but it's always there where, I don't have to do full time. I can do casual, I can do part-time, but fitness, it can be done, right? During COVID, I struggled, but I still made it happen. I still made it happen. So with me, if anybody say, okay, I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be like Whitney Houston when I was a kid. How are you going to be like Whitney Houston if you're not in America? What? Well, like singers who come out of America, like, if you come out of Canada, like there's not really much opportunity. And they keep on talking negative and negative. So now as I'm very grown, I cut off all kind of negative. You don't say something proper to me, I'm not cutting you. Our just conversations are just limited, right? My conversations are very limited. I scratch you off my list. I'm not gonna be the person now where I'm gonna call you, hey, I'm going this place. Hey, really? That's what I said, hey, really? And I was like, then that means you're not happy for me. You probably never will. It's either you hate me or you like me. So that conversation there, you're not positive around me. And I need positive people. I don't need someone to lift me and say, come on, you can do it, like hold my hand. But you need to have a full self-love of yourself and a vision and have this biggest vision. And what a fella told me to do is write it down. And I didn't understand what write it down means. So I have a book and it literally has like a Guyanese flag in the back. And someone said it looked like me when I had my puffy hair. And it looks like you. I'm like, okay. And I write down everything. So as soon as I have a dream and the dream pops up, I write it down and I circle it and I date it, not knowing it really would come to pass. So, and then Bible scriptures are for me now. Bible scriptures. I will Google motivation Bible scripture, and then I'll go look, and then I'll read the Bible scripture. Sometimes I write it in my book. And okay, Gail, that is for today. That's what you need to follow. You need to follow the word because the word is there. And I would say, honestly, 100% of the time, it's always come to pass. No one has shaken my way. When I do get shaken my way, I know it's the Mr. Satan on my side doesn't want to see me prosper. Doesn't want to see me prosper, but I'm going to prosper.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I definitely enjoyed this conversation. I know for the people who are listening or watching, they're enjoying it as much as I have. For those who want to get in contact with you, they want to join your next pop-up shop. First of all, when is the next pop-up shop? How can they get involved? If they're like, I'm not going to be in that city or I'm not there, how can they join you otherwise? And where can they connect with you online?
So I'm so happy and blessed and very thankful that my next stop will be in Queens, New York. It's at the Whatless workout, and the location, I'm not really sure, but if you Google Whatless, you'll see the next event is going to be on June 24th at 10 o'clock. That's in Queens. And then in Canada is going to be on July 8th in Cambridge on the Alan Rutten Center at 10:30.
And for those who want to connect with you online, how can they get in touch with you?
So I'm on lots of platforms. So my website is www.guyanesefitchick.com. Facebook is Guyanese Fit Chick. Instagram is Guyanese Fit Chick. TikTok is Guyanese Fit Chick with a double K. And YouTube is Guyanese Fit Chick. And the email, you also get a hold of me on email with guyanesefitchick50@gmail.com.
Gotcha. For those of you who have watched this video, listened to this podcast, Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you for being a part of the Guyanese Swag community. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Drop us a comment so we know how this video has inspired you to get out and to move your boomsy, go on, walk up yourself, all that good stuff. And while you're down there in the comments, make sure that you click the links, connect with Gail, connect with what she's doing, get involved. Even if you can join one of the live pop-up shops, get involved. She have on-demand fitness, join the on-demand community, and start moving. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Go out and have a phenomenal day. Peace.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and hit that notification bell.